Hello, mate, and welcome to the first in a series of weekly podcasts that I'm starting to do now from Game Developer Training. And I'm going to be talking about topics that you request as well as things from interest really around the internet. So let's jump into the first few topics. The first thing I wanted to talk about was I recently read that Amazon had actually purchased rights to make a Fallout TV series, and they had already paid or employed or contracted the makers of Westworld to do that. Now, I'm not a Westworld watcher. I haven't seen any of it, but I have heard good things, and I've been led to believe that the standard of TV there is pretty good. So it looks like potentially we could be onto a winner with that. Seeing the results so far in making TV shows based on video game franchises is very much a mixed bag. I found watching the Witcher TV series was really enjoyable. I thought that every member of the cast in that did a really good job. But there have been other movie franchises or TV franchises based on video games that haven't been quite as good. I'm sure you can think of one or two. There have been some movies that have been based on a video game format but not actually based on a video game. Obviously everyone knows about Free Guy, the recent movie that Ryan Reynolds and his team put together, which has had absolutely smashing reports, and I'm really looking forward to giving that a watch. I think it was called Hardcore Henry, which was an interesting film. Certainly worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I'm not going to say it was a great film, but it was certainly different and certainly, worth a look in if you've not had a chance to have a look at that yet. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, if they're even going to go ahead with it. I've not seen very much. The information out there is very limited, but I did find an article that said that Amazon had purchased the rights to make that TV series. So I'm kind of curious to hear what your thoughts are, whether or not you're excited about it, whether or not you're worried. I think historically Amazon and Netflix have both got a fairly decent track record of making their own original TV shows based on other people's IPs. It'll certainly be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. I'll certainly be staying tuned, watching this space, and so on. Next thing I wanted to discuss really, and I want to get your feedback on this one, and I will talk about it in the next podcast as well with a follow-up, is women in esports. I've been seeing a lot of interesting articles recently on Twitter and various different news outlets about how it seems to be the widely accepted opinion that women are underrepresented in esports, which I find it interesting. See, for me, I've never really given any great deal of thought to women in esports, purely because every game that I've ever played that interacts with other people, such as World of Warcraft, City of Heroes, there was always a healthy number of women playing the game. Now, they may not have been playing professionally, but they were still playing and participating in the game, which does indicate that perhaps there just aren't enough women playing competitively. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, mainly because I feel like the conclusion we always seem to jump to, certainly with the liberal-leaning media outlets, is that if what is considered to be a protected category in the Equality and Diversity Act, if those people are underrepresented for any actual reason, the immediate conclusion that we seem to jump to is that there must be some kind of discrimination. For example, you could argue that the number of female CEOs in the Fortune 500 companies or the FTSE 100 is down to discrimination, but there are other viewpoints that you could argue the point from as well. So it's interesting to talk about, because I don't really have, and I never have really had, a bias when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't really think about a person's gender or even race or religious beliefs when I talk to them online, when I play with them online. I just see them as a human being and a potential friend. So it's interesting to me that the conclusion everyone seems to be jumping to on the Twitterverse is that online gaming is not as accessible for women as it is for men. I don't know, I think people would struggle to actually legitimately make that case in this day and age. because the internet doesn't know what gender you are. When you're playing an MMO online with people, you don't know what gender they are, and they don't know what gender you are. So I feel it's quite difficult to make the case for gender bias in that respect. But I may be being narrow-minded. I'm certainly open to having a dialogue about that. I would like to believe that it's simply just because less females, less women are choosing to play video games competitively because maybe they don't want to, or maybe they're not being conditioned to or encouraged to, or it's an interesting topic that I feel is worth having a discussion about. So drop your comments in the section below, and it's something that I am going to want to talk about in the next video. Obviously try and keep your comments respectful, don't make any sweeping assumptions. I really just want to have a dialogue with people who have had an intellectual thought, or at least, are willing to have a dialogue about it. I'm curious to hear what people of opposing viewpoints think. Realistically, no matter what kind of claim you're making, it has to be able to be substantiated. It has to be evidence-based. You can't just be anecdotal. You can't just say, well, such and such said this and such said that. That's not how cultural change is brought about. You need to be producing evidence for whatever your viewpoint is. That doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion. I feel like if you're going to participate in any kind of debate, you need to at least have some kind of evidence or rationale behind the viewpoint that you're defending. Next up, I wanted to talk about Icarus. Icarus is a game, I pre-purchased it, as did many other people, under the illusion that we were going to be getting hold of the game in early August. And then 2 days before the game was due to drop, they cancelled it and said it's going to be 3 more months. Now, I am a game developer. I am aware of what can happen if you release a game too early. I think anybody who knows my history will agree with me that I've got plenty of experience on that one. It has to be said that when it comes from a company that are selling games on Steam in that fashion, it kind of is hard not to get a bitter aftertaste from it. Now, I'm 100% convinced that they're not trying to mug anyone off and that they genuinely do have problems that they need to fix. But my argument is, and this is something that I actually posted on YouTube not too long ago, and it's that if you have so many problems with your game that they're going to take 3 months to fix, chances are you probably knew about that much sooner than 2 days before the release date. In which case, waiting until 2 days before the release date to announce it is a bit of a dick move, let's be honest. Again, I'm open to other people's comments on this if you think maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh or a little bit too impatient with them, given my own history perhaps. Then maybe I should be a little bit more forgiving of that sort of thing. And I'm certainly not particularly big on complaining. I understand the reasons for wanting to postpone the game and all that sort of thing, but it does kind of feel a little bit like being taken advantage of when you've already paid for a game. It's as if, for example, if you were to purchase something from Amazon, you know it's going to take 2 or 3 days to be delivered unless you pay the extra for next day delivery. But let's say you did that, and it was something that you were really looking forward to getting your hands on, and then you got a casual announcement on Twitter by Amazon saying this product isn't going to be available for 3 more months and you've got to wait for it. Wouldn't be overly happy with that if it was Amazon. Now, a lot of us have experienced that in the last 12 months when we bought our RTX 3080s on the day of release. Ordering on the day of release was realistically the only way that anyone was going to actually get one without going through a scumbag reseller. Buying something for that amount of money, knowing full well that you were going to be waiting for it. To be honest, I knew I was going to wait. I didn't know I was going to have to wait 3 months for it, but, I had a heads up on that sort of thing. So it's interesting, is a game on early access or a game on Steam exempt from that kind of scrutiny? Should we be more forgiving with people selling digital products simply because of the nature of the product? Or should we be stamping our feet and demanding that they are held as accountable or to the same standards as people who sell physical products? Certainly something that I'm keen to discuss with people. I would say 50% of what people spend their money on is digital products, and it seems to me that that's the way things are going to keep going. On a different note, we've got a lot more updates on Steam recently. In fact, I would say the majority of my library have had quite major updates in the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, which I haven't had a chance to catch up on the majority of them. I'm particularly interested to see the Hearth and Home update for Valheim. That's looking like it's going to be pretty awesome. And I'm literally scrolling through my news feed as we speak. There's also been updates to Deep Rock Galactic, Camping Simulator. Marvel Avengers is continually evolving. I think they've started the Battle for Wakanda update now. I still haven't even finished the Avengers Assemble or the Avengers Reassemble storyline yet. So quite a lot of catching up to do on there. Looking forward to getting more into doing those, as well as just trying to keep my Minecraft server going. I have got a Minecraft server and I am going to be inviting soon if they so wish. I know that the majority of people who come to my channel aren't really here for gaming content, but I am interested in maybe turning my realm into more of a public situation. I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. Being the first podcast, I'm going to keep it nice and short because I want your feedback and I want your participation. So guys, drop comments in the section below. Let me know what you think about any of the topics that I've discussed. And in the next podcast, we will cover some more game development topics as well as keeping an eye on the gaming world in general. You guys take care of yourselves. In fact, you take damn good care of yourselves. And I will see you in the next one, alright? Bye-bye.